everybody, welcome back to my channel. I made it through the intro this time without any birds yelling at me, so that's a plus. There's a first time for everything. Lots of stuff has been happening in my life lately. Anyway, so I just had the birds out for a bit and they're a little tired, so I thought I would take the opportunity to film while it's quiet, kind of-ish. A couple of you had asked to see kind of like a spring cleaning enclosure maintenance day, which I was totally down to do, except then I put my back out at work pretty badly actually, and I've been more or less stuck on my couch for the last week. So I'm not really in a position where I'm comfortable shop vacuuming, sweeping, and disinfecting. Thanks, Chip. The entire aviary. Nap time's over for them. So what I thought I'd do instead is, since I do most of my fish tank maintenance on Tuesdays, which is what it is today, that I would kind of walk you guys through how I do my water changes and how I test my water, which is going to be a bit of an adventure because I haven't tested it in a while. So I'm a little scared to find out what it says. Hopefully everything's good. Everything looks good, which is why I've been slacking on the testing a little bit, but you never know. Not gonna be a total tutorial. I'm not much of an education channel, I have decided. But I will show you how I do things and what works for me. I just kind of walk you through that process a little bit. Plus, you may or may not see, I have a new light, which means right now my tank is actually open top until the mesh that goes on top of it comes, which is a little risky, not super stoked about it. It is gonna make it a lot easier for me to clean and get in and do some overall maintenance. Yeah, let's just jump into it. Now that the birds are all riled. Alrighty, so we'll just do this as a little bit of a before shot, I guess. I mean, it's not super dirty. I do a water change probably every second week or every 10 days or so, but I do have the last of my cyano growth down in here, a little bit up top here behind my frog spawn, this coral. The fish think they're gonna eat, but they're not, because I just fed you, you liars. And then the other thing I wanted to do in here is, I don't know if you can see if it'll focus here, but I have my pulsing zinnia. I glued them onto my back wall here, and they've been doing really well. The one up the top is massive. But this one down in the corner last night just detached, and now it wants to be here. And zinnia grows like weeds, and I really don't want it taking over this rock, especially with my anemone like right here. So I'm gonna try and glue that back up where it belongs. And I also need to glue my poor sad Monty that's back here that keeps falling, that is almost completely bleached. This guy right here in the very back. Poor Monty. I'm probably gonna lose it, but at least this way I can say I tried. I'm also hoping this new light will help. For anybody curious, this is the Fluval LED Nano, and it's programmable with their smart app as well. So really, really, really enjoying that. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I've got this little button polyp down here on my hairy mushrooms, stupid little Aptasia behind it that I keep nuking, that keeps coming back. Aptasia everywhere, kill me. Anyway, so I just want to give this gravel a good siphon, get everything nice and tidy, you know, new season, new tank, etc. And yeah, so let's get started. All right, not the best camera angle, but we're on the floor. We can only do so much. So when I'm doing water changes, to get everything out and ready beforehand, so that way it's there when I'm ready to grab it, because a lot of the time I'll get elbows deep in my aquarium and then forget something, and it's a whole hot mess. So what I have for this water change, a towel. Obviously, everything gets a little bit messy. I have like one of those super giant jumbo towels. I also have my test kit. I use API. They're not the best, but not the worst, and they're what I had with my budget at the time. Hoping to get a Red Sea one soon though. In this bucket, this is the bucket I used to empty water into. It's an empty bird food bucket, which is one of the perks of having so many animals, is that I always have buckets and extra supplies. And then in here I have some tongs, I have a toothbrush for scrubbing off some algae, my siphon, and then I also have gloves. Some people prefer to wear gloves. Some people think that they're for sissies. My clownfish are both savages when it comes to sticking my hand in the tank, and they have broken the skin on my hands. They have ripped through gloves, so I wear gloves. Also need some salt, obviously. If you are new to the saltwater world, you do need to mix your own water. You can pre-buy it, but it's a huge pain in the butt, so most people just mix their own. I use Instant Ocean, and then towards the end of this month, I'm gonna be transitioning to the Instant Ocean reef crystals. And the very last thing that I have out are what I'm gonna be dosing. So this week, I obviously need Prime, which is just like a water conditioner. And then I will also be dosing the 3 Ions by Fluval Sea, just for my corals. This is pretty much the only thing I dose them with, but I really like it and they seem to really like it. So I usually throw a little bit of that in there when I do my change. So yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, gotta get some water out for testing. That does not include my clownfish. I like to do it this way instead of sticking the vial straight in here, just to avoid any potential contamination. So got my test kit open, got my cup of water, and I think the first one I'm gonna test today is I'm actually gonna test my calcium. It's been a while since I tested that and I have been dosing, so that's one that I really wanna check on. The calcium test is pretty straightforward. API has their 2 little bottles labeled 1 and 2 with the instructions printed right on them. Grab a test vial. And I also keep the little booklet out because it has handy little guides for helping to interpret your test results as well as instructions. I like to always have the instructions out because all of the tests are different. So this way, if I have the book right out in front of me, I know for sure that I'm not gonna forget and mess it up. So calcium is sitting right at 500, which makes me super happy. That's right about where it should be. You can see in the vial, it's nice and blue here. So that means the dosing that I've been doing has been working and that my corals are growing well, which I mean, I could see by looking at it, but the more information you have on your tank, the better, especially with salt water, just because things can turn so quickly. I'm really happy with that test. And now I'm gonna move on to carbonate hardness slash KH. All right, so those tests are done, and honestly, I'm pretty happy with the results, and if it weren't for these uglies in my sand bed over here, I would honestly probably skip the water change today, but I need to do a little bit of puttering around in here, so might as well get a water change in while I'm at it. And I'm going to just come down in here and pull out this whole hot mess of cords and life support, and I'm going to unplug my power heads. Oh my gosh, come out. There we go. Unplug my power heads. Oh, look how still and beautiful that water is. Wow. And this way I can get in here, do what I need to do without all the dust blowing in the wind. Always empty your gloves over a bucket. Gross. All right, so I just took out about 2 gallons. You can see where the tank was full. Now it's down here. My Xenia in the back there is pretty mad. Anemone's doing all right though, which is hilarious because normally it closes right up as soon as the power heads go off. It's like it knows. So yeah, now it's time to Krazy Glue some coral. I'm including this because I had a friend ask me how I did this. I read about it online is how, but the answer for how to get Krazy Glue into an aquarium is quickly. So I'm gonna show you how I did it. I'm gonna stick my Monty up on a rock and hope that it lives, and yeah, it'll be a great time. So I'm just gonna reach in here, pull out my sad little Monty. Poor dude, so bleachy. All I did is I take my Krazy Glue. This one's a little easier because it's on a frag. I'm gonna put a generous amount on there. It's easier to do this with gel, but unfortunately my store was out, so that's good. Decide where it's going, and then plop it. And then I'm just gonna hold it till it sticks. I picked kind of an awkward niche, so sometimes you have to glue it a couple of times and kind of build up the layer a little bit, but that actually went really well. So hopefully that'll stay put and he'll bounce back. That's the dream. All right, so that gluing fun is done. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it does work. Yeah, so now let's get some water back in this tank. Now I'm just gonna plop down on my floor, mix some salt. In case anyone was curious, all this sitting on the floor today, not helping my back. I'm almost out of salt, which makes me nervous, but I'm just gonna use my little salinity gauge from my tank to make sure the water that I'm mixing right here, I think it was sitting at about 1.024, I believe it was at, 1.025, somewhere in the middle there. So that's what I need to get this salt water to before it can go in the tank. Where are we at now? Yeah, see, now we're too far over. Every damn time. All right, so after a little bit of tinkering, I do have it right about where I want it. And for me, that's comfortable enough that I'm gonna go ahead and put this in here. So now I just need to add my prime, and I think I'm gonna do one more bucket after this just to give it a little bit more of a top off. Then lastly, I'm just gonna add a little bit of cotton batting into my intake on my filter so that when I plug all the power heads back in here, it's gonna suck up all the dirt that I stirred around, and this will help absorb it rather than putting it through my filtration and turning my tank into a nitrate factory. All right, so pretty cloudy and sad right now, but we're gonna stick this guy right in here for a bit. I usually only leave these in for like an hour or two, just kind of until everything gets cleared up. Now I'm gonna go ahead and plug all these cords back in. It's like a tornado of shit. Nice day. All right, and here's a little after shot. Still pretty cloudy. I literally put the filter back on about 5 minutes ago, but I wanted to get this shot, so, you know. And then he's starting to perk back up. It's like real dramatic about the water changes. And my zinnia are all reopening. And my Monty still looks like death. Awesome. Frog spawn's good though. This thing is like my favorite coral. I stinking love it. All right, you guys, that's it for this one. Hello. That's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you guys have questions about water changes or corals, as well, if you have any tips for doing your water changes or the best way to move corals, I am very new to the hobby, so I'm always looking to learn from other people and to share what I know. So definitely hit me up in those comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Hey, what are you doing on my floor? Hello. I thought I was done filming, but apparently not. This is the Kuzco bonus content. Should I just quit this channel and you can just run it? Yeah. He's all anybody wants to see anyways. Hello. Hello, friend. Is this funny? Should this be our new backdrop, maybe? Should we film like this from now on? Good, okay.